Hello, you're in travel. You are here. Konnichiwa, watashi wa Erusuaf desu. Just bringing a couple more here. Your stomach. God, that sucks. Hello. Hopefully, y'all guys are doing well. This will be a start. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah. So basically, call this what you like. Call it like a total nerd live stream or whatever. I will be talking about and thank you so much for sharing it in your Discord. Yeah, just my whole point now is to bring in a bunch of other people, and I also got a new hat, Russian Ushanka. Um, now I can LARP as a Russian nationalist or whatever with more accuracy, I guess. Hello, you are from Ukraine. Is not real country. Was actually created by the Mexicans in 1682. But Ukraine idea of create the country Ukraine start in year 1666 is coincidence number 666. No, is not. All right. Right now, I'm just watching and waiting for a couple more people to join in. Hello, Dr. Terminator. Merhaba, merhaba. Hello, Gab Holloway. Merry Christmas besides Dioski. Happy Hanukkah. Merhaba, Dr. Terminator. Yakov, you are now here. Hello, so Goyim. I'm now talking to two Goyim. All right. All right. Let me just take a look at. Yes, if anyone would like to join, if any of y'all guys would like to join my live stream, I know you are Cab Calloway. I know you are Seamus. Seamus, hello. I'm glad you are here. Yakov, Seamus, how are y'all guys doing? Neoski, Seamus, trying right now to get more people involved. All right. Yeah, just trying to get a huge audience here. Um, good, good, Seamus. I'm glad you are doing well. Of course, Yakov, are you here, Yakov? Ah, tu es bien. All right then. The live stream shall be about the Wolverse, of course, and let me show you the sheer insanity of because before right now I have access to Micah's history of Christianity. His live stream has 727 slides. Great live stream. I'm not trying to discredit his work, but because I was inspired by him, I wanted to one up him at least a little bit. Um, I have, I now have like so many um, parts to what I'm doing, like 4 parts of the live stream. I had to put it in 4 separate Google slides. So let us compare. Let us compare the numbers. First part has 281 slides. Second part has 255 slides. Third part has 248 slides. And the fourth part has 146 slides. That, in its total, produces about 930 slides for the project. Can't wait for Christmas, Seamus. Nice. Nice. Enjoy and good luck. Good luck in that voyage. 3 members here. Now, let me. I want now. All right. I just want to make sure if everyone's ready. If you would like me to, if you have any questions or anything you'd like to do beforehand, bit of a note here. I will be using my phone a bit in the live stream, simply to just check at the live stream and take a look at it. Hang on. Just to make sure I can keep looking at your comments and questions and whatnot. And yeah, if you have any questions, um, feel free to ask. Obviously, um, there's another thing I will be doing here, which is just to take in a little bit of knowledge from the document here. This is the core message of the Wolverse. Um, and that will be very important in just a second. Now, if anyone has any comments to raise or questions to ask, or shall I begin my project, my massive work of sheer insanity? Because sometimes because I will indeed be a bit batshit in regards to what I am doing. Um, oh yeah, getting Ollie by. All right, now with all further, because no one here has any questions I can see. All right, in the name of God. Wait, no, that's the yeah, that's the Wolverse live stream. All right. Yeah, without further ado, and does anyone have any final things to say before I start this? No? All right, now. Okay then. Wait, no, not trying to share it. Not trying to share it. Okay. Welcome, comrades. Now, here is the initial warning. In most modern fictional worlds, we are tourists of Florida. You can analyze it with whatever ideology you want. A Groiper, a liberal, and a tanky could look at these worlds and judge everything from their own worldview. This would be, oh, by the way, all right. Uh, in worlds of classical fantasy, we are tourists of the Acropolis. There is a clear good and evil, but it is apolitical. A Groiper, liberal, and tanky look at this world and root for the same characters against the same evil. In the Wolvers, we are tourists of Afghanistan. Abandon all ideology, ye who enter here. This world has an objective truth, but the ideology that you believe in within this world is probably not only wrong, but objectively demonic within its confines. We are entering an objectively metaphysical realm. Do not side with whatever your team is just because you do this in real life. If you are a believer in democracy, abandon your notions of it. Do not, democracy is literally a demonic movement to empower mediocrity and crush. Question: what about the Latter day Saints? Wouldn't they organize and arm themselves in the Wolverse? Let's just say the Latter day Saints never formed as a religious organization in this world. If you're a Catholic traditionalist, note that while Catholicism is not a, or while Catholicism is a religion in the Wolverse, it is a real one. It is an objectively false religion within this setting. The men you would consider holy in real life are leading people astray. This is true with all of Christianity as well. Now, inquisitive viewers may ask, but what is the objective spiritual truth of this setting? Who are we to champion, condemn, and fear? On August 16th, 1985, the Cascadian Society of Archaeological and Sociocultural Studies firmly declared the scripture of Thorax faith, within it the founding myth of Wolcottia, to be just that, a myth. Rather than an ancient story of prophets and legends, they hypothesized that Wolcottians were a Creole people between ancient Anglo-Saxons and Norse missionaries and the now extinct native tribes in the region surrounding the city of Uzelav. The city of Uzelav, as well, was proclaimed to be a myth. They stated it's nothing more than a modern cathedral. The Nashkraltu people, recognized as the demon worshippers they were by Thracian texts, have been exonerated as feminist icons, their slavery and human sacrifice deemed a flaw of a complex and ancient democratic structure built fundamentally on tolerance, only to be brutally crushed and invaded by the Iron Coalition under Rasulvan I of the Kingdom of Havrak. Their worst deed is their unholy proclamation that Sir John, our founding prophet, never existed at all. They do this all not out of a desire for factual integrity, but for the erosion of the divine. After all, their primary documents state with intention or state the intention and purpose of the Wolcottian myth: to justify and perpetuate an authoritarian state, first against the evil forces of Spanish colonialism, and then against the later forces of liberalism and democracy. They state that these myths are only subjectively true in our perspectives. But they're bad when they're used to facilitate the reign of our emperors and the truth they bring to this broken world of sinners. All right, nice. Taking a look at it. Thank you so much for based well. All right. To that I say a resounding no. Indeed, Sir John rose out from Britain, questioning the power of the church and finding truth in a vision from a messenger of God. His followers did go on a long journey throughout the Atlantic Ocean to reach the old city of Uzelav, proving the truth of the sacred message to the entire world. Indeed, the Nashkraltu had women's rights, such as the women's right to sacrifice babies or to worship literal demons in the name of enslaving innocent souls to their false dogma. Yes, this is in scripture, not science. The declarations of a king rather than the sterile orders of an institution. Even a democratic one. The truth is one, and even if all men are created equal, a righteous few must be there to cement it. May God bless Wolcottia in its holy march to liberate the world from a threat much greater than tyranny, the death of the human soul. God is not just with us, He is within us. But if we ignore that He is one and think of ourselves as gods, that is where we are truly doomed. Yeah, I agree with that. Also, no shame on Cascadia. Um, to call this a polemic is to leave Afghanistan or die in its grave. To agree with Cascadia's message is to spit on the Wolverse. If you, however, resist this distortion, then we are kindred souls. Now, I'll mention, what is the Wolverse high world building? This is the prologue of the Wolverse, because that wasn't even the real prologue. Hello. Just want to see if you're here watching it or not. Uh, nice. Yakov. All right, nice. All right, now then, what is the Wolverse? Because that is how we start. The Wolverse is not an alternate history. There's no set point of divergence where, oh, we have our world here, and then, whoop, now that thing changed and the entire world is gone. No, it's not like that. The Wolverse is not a world of its own. It is not this, you know, continent, or it does not exist purely on its own logic. Like, it has real world countries within it. The Wolverse is also not an alternate reality. It's not just, a different way of looking at our world. The Wolverse is an epic revealed through a linear timeline from creation until the end of time. Now let's talk about our primary nation here. Just as the Old Testament focuses on Israel, the Wolverse focuses on the righteous struggle of Wolcottia. This is why I will primarily be telling the history of Wolcottia, even to the detriment of other lore elements. Now, there are two layers of the Wolverse. The Wolverse has an exoteric and esoteric layer. The esoteric layer will feel like a massive theological treatise or scripture. The exoteric layer will feel like a functional textbook. Both are important, but the esoteric is more important. Um, Life in the Wolverse. So, this is how we get to this magical fantasy in the medieval era or whatever, but not today. Well, how is it like that? Well, magic in the Wolverse is hidden. You probably wouldn't know about magic. Living in the Wolverse for the average person is basically living on Earth. Magical and fantastical elements are found in hidden temples, alleyways, and back rooms, but they still affect you. You would probably live in Nigeria, the Netherlands, or Mexico, not Wolcottia. Even most Wolcottians think they're in a strictly political world, not a spiritual one. That does not change the fact that magic will still affect your daily life. Now, high world building. I will do research in the name of historical accuracy and simply getting new ideas. However, I have full discretion on what is ultimately canon. If historical fact conflicts with my epic, said historical fact is rendered useless. I am writing the Bible. I am not writing a textbook, even though parts of it will seem like a textbook. Now, here's a general overlay of what to expect. The past of the Wolverse is a fantasy adventure, beginning with the world's creation and ending with a true kingdom in Wolcottia. The esoteric is always present, whether in the form of miracles, prophecies, or glorious fire breathing dragons. The enemies are either honor bound or clear, unsympathetic villains. But eventually the magic fades away and its defense lies within our hearts. Starting with a golden age for the people's kingdom of Wolcottia, built for its greatest heroes, the decline is long. Wars are lost, atrocities committed. But more than that, we are told that the truth is an illusion. But even then, magic still exists in a hidden refuge, just waiting for the day to strike back at the world. Eventually, Wolcottia regains its prominence and prepares a new world. In the future, following Wolcottia's victory over the European Union, Vilkism is the standard ideology of the world, but that doesn't mean that Wolcottia is safe. Political wars slowly give way to religious wars, but the material they use is not based on Earth. Space fleets, noble and proud, are still without true faster than light drives, locking everyone in the solar system. This will create utopia and destroy it. Now, in regards to the exoteric and esoteric, the important part here is that 90% of this world will be exoteric. I will describe events as if they are political events that happened in history. But the true theme, its raison d'etre, that is esoteric. That is the 1% of this whole spiel. And only with that will we know reality. Now, there are 4 levels of knowledge: level 1, level 0, level 2, and level 3. Level 1 here, and I have told you that I would be using Wojaks. Well, here is a Wojak in this live stream. And this is your Wojak for those who have level 1 knowledge. They are average Joes. Most people on this level, including powerful CEOs and occasionally heads of state, are level 1. To them, history is driven by economics, resource competition, great leaders, and ideological conflict. And nations are the primary actors on the world stage. They ultimately believe that the world is rational. If something cannot be tested and measured via mainstream science and history, it is invalid. Even though they're willing to change that framework if it is disproven. Maybe not. They are unable to see the secret societies guiding nations, or that they are puppets of Aldurin/Zargoth, you'll know who they are in a second, or willful servants of God in a grand spiritual war. Now, level 1, the average Joe, that is the level 1 Wojak. Zargoth. What did you say? Ah, yeah, Cab Calloway. Yes, Cab Calloway, Seamus, is the creator of Zargoth. And I have taken him and made him a primary demonic deity in the Wolverse. Now we have level 0, which is the Midwit Sojak. And if you take a look at the Wojak here, actually, Wolcottia is the villain. They either believe in no absolutes, Zargoth, or that absolute truth is defined by a known external human authority, aka the followers of Alderaan. Ah, sorry about that. This does not mean that they are dumb. They're usually very intelligent and often incorporate nuance. The key problem of level 0 is that they reject any type of internal observation. And they do not question their own systematic dogma because they either view the fact that they either view questioning it as heresy, or they believe that the dogma itself is that accurate. Or because they believe that by not questioning the dogma, they are questioning. All right, hold on. Sorry, I just swallowed my drink the wrong way. Highest level, this is the level 2, which is the Truth Seeker, or the Chud. The highest level one can attain on his own. One attains this level by looking at who funds politicians. So not the politicians themselves, not the Pope, but the people behind the Pope, the people behind these politicians, campaign donors and whatnot. And they read what they say and they take their word for it without the rose-tinted goggles they use. They always mention the truth, and I'll mention why later, but that is the case. They are fully aware of secret societies and their political plans for the world. However, for every truth one on level 2 uncovers, he is more likely to become a conspiracy theorist. This is how we get people like Alex Jones. They read in between the lines a little bit too much and then go crazy. Level 2 is still unable to witness the esoteric world. I think they're all right. Level 2 is still unable to witness the esoteric world, even if, like, one on level 2 still cannot witness the esoteric world, even if he may or may not believe in it. And of course, there's the Chud. The West has fallen, billions must die. It's because, you know why. Now we have level 3. This level can only be attained with divine or demonic revelation, not human understanding. Those on this level know about secret societies, esoteric conflicts, and forces guiding them all, and the forces guiding them all. Those here, they probably know how to cast spells. There is no limit to their understanding, but with that there comes a profound responsibility. Every action and every inaction is directly in service of God or his enemies. While ignorance is a valid excuse to the less knowledgeable, here is an excuse no longer. And of course, they are Chads, though it's also possible they would be the demon Wojak as well. And here are examples of each level. I really hate the fact that my face cam or whatever is showing in the left corner, like bottom left corner. I wish I could remove that. Unfortunately, I cannot. So that sucks. But level 1, the average Joe. Wolcottia is a powerful and unique nation. Level 2, the anti-Wolcottian. Well, level 0, the anti-Wolcottian. Wolcottia must reform into a democracy. Or Wolcottians, they do not follow Christians. They follow the Thorok faith. Yeah, we'll call it the Thorok faith. Level 2, conspiracy theorist. Operation George Washington is real, and it's after the People's Kingdom. Level 3, aware and responsible. Operation George Washington is a puppet of Aldurin and Zargoth. And that is the case there. Ultimate spiritual conflict. God is up against two conflicting demons who both believe they are the one true God, and that God himself is a rebel who deserves to be crushed. Yes, according to God is a literal war criminal, and I'll explain how they believe that God is a war criminal later, but they literally believe that. This battle is fought primarily in the spirit world and involves magic and secret societies. This battle filters down from a cosmic to an individual level and is fought away from most people due to the presence of karma, a powerful spiritual force that can only be blocked by prophets. Now we have Aldurin. Aldurin is the god, quote unquote, of order and purity. Now, this is where we technically have, for all the leftists and liberals here, transgender representation in the Wolverse. Why? Because Aldurin manifests as the Virgin Mary. Not only that, he genuinely believes he is the Virgin Mary. They're leftists. Do I get the DIA, diversity, DEI? Do I get the DEI points for the Wolverse? Of course, he is responsible for the Holocaust, the Ottoman Empire, and other historical oppressors. His followers lose their free will, and while his lies are outright, they're painted as good. Now we have Zargoth, the liberator, who believes in freedom and who actually hates freedom. He is the god, once again, because Aldurin is a god, of freedom. He manifests as Satan. He knows he's not. He just LARPs. He tells people, do as thou wilt, but then determines what they want to do. He is responsible for liberalism, communism, and all forms of paganism. His lies are always half-truths, never outright. Who is more evil, Aldurin or Zargoth? Now, the key part is that Aldurin's lie is so obviously a lie that only a fanatic would believe it. Then these people, in attempting to escape from the fanatic, then go to another truth, which is that of Zargoth, which is that of whatever the opposite of what Aldurin says is Zargothian, is probably correct. No, that is also incorrect. And some people would say, well, let's try to find a balance. Maybe, this, that, and the other thing. No, that also is incorrect. It is the third way. It is the passage of love, the path of love for God, the path of passion, creation, love. And now we enter the realm of karma. Enforced from Tien, or the celestial bureaucracy by the Jade Emperor, these rules are ironclad. Law 1, keep magic hidden. Law 2, give people a way out, but always include a way back. Law 3, always state your celestial or infernal plans indirectly, as to allow people to piece out information for themselves. So the truth must always be present. Um, so the ignorant violators, like those who stumble upon the truth accidentally, are not punished. In fact, they are rewarded with a free ticket to the esoteric realm. If they reject, they will remain outside the spiritual battle with a luxurious life. The only punishment for rejecting the fight in this life is internal. But for knowing violators, first you're given a warning, then whatever attempt to break karma is itself broken. And if things are serious, a bodhisattva is sent and you are teleported to the hungry ghost realm to suffer and learn your lesson. All right. That is kind of good because like one thing here is good. All right. Are you all guys watching? Do you have any questions? Are you curious about anything here? Um yes or no? Wait, so is Thorax Faith duelist? No. Uh Aldurin and Zargoth are essentially the equivalents to Satan. God is beyond all. Aldurin and Zargoth are basically um, like it's dualist in the term of Satan, but God is beyond all. He is far more powerful than Aldurin and Zargoth. In addition, what I am describing here is the more spiritual truth of Thorax Faith. And exactly how it operates, the average Thorakian wouldn't say, Zargoth is responsible for liberalism. But I'll describe the ultimate path of worshiping God later on. But I will mention how the let me try to find where I wrote the part of karma. And of course, Thracians, they don't believe in karma. This is a purely esoteric lore element here. And the hungry ghost realm itself, right? And this is the hungry ghost realm. It is a real world concept that exists in real world Buddhism. And unlike the way it is in Buddhism, the hungry ghost realm, it's a temporary thing in life. So you don't spend all of your life there. You're essentially sent there to starve. There are some angels and some demons who would try to help you out of there, but It's really up to you to get out of there. Well, there are demons who will tempt you with rewards and whatnot. There are angels who will help you out of the hungry ghost realm, but it's up to you in the worship of God. In the name of God, you must leave the hungry ghost realm. Now, demons like karma. Demons believe that karma keeps everything fair. They treat it as rules for the spiritual conflict and happily abide by them. This is because karma itself is unjust. A saint who nobly breaks the rules of karma in the name of justice will be punished harder than a literal demon who follows these rules forever. In fact, these demons consider the holy act of God, the prophets, and the heroes who have worshipped him beyond all to be literal war crimes. And that's how I mentioned how Aldurin, Zargoth, whatnot, believe that God is a literal war criminal. The problem is they're missing the point. Karma was never meant to be a fair battleground, but instead regulations that made the spiritual fight between good and evil cost something. If karma rewards saints and punishes sinners directly, then the ultimate fight between good and evil becomes a cost-benefit analysis instead of a holy struggle. This is why karma means nothing in the face of prophets, and only prophets who flagrantly violate its tenets and cast out the bodhisattvas. The necessary of evil, of karma, is not always necessary. The forces of good have a way out. Now, the Imperial Knights. That is what we shall learn about. And welcome to the process of magical initiation. The process is always the same. First, you go to a magic school that seems like Hogwarts. Of course, it's still a religious monastery, even if you get to fly a broom. And that is one of the first things you're told here. This is a monastery. You pray for magical abilities, dutifully meditate, and receive them. You then learn the rules for magic, what counts as noble and evil magic. But eventually, there is a test. Eventually, you become unable to learn new spells. Then your current spells begin to fail. And this will lead to you being a muggle, basically. You will be told that you need to move on from magic and depart to a monastery, so you may live a different life and find a different calling. 3 types of people deal with this stuff. Some just say, you know what, I'm going to live a life in the secular world, and I'm leaving the esoteric behind. That is what makes and keep in mind, magic exists in the country of Zealandia. This is where the majority of that stuff is found. And a lot of the town, and specifically in southern Zealandia, because it's as isolated as possible. And essentially what these magic users are doing, what a lot of these people do is they go to the towns outside. They're not permitted like a full life anywhere in the world, but they're allowed, a reasonable life in these towns. Then they could go to, or they would be tempted by demons of Aldrin or Zargoth, who will give them not only magic, but purpose and meaning and a reason to use it that actually means something. They feel like they're part of something more important here. Now, why this law? The law of diminishing returns keeps souls humble and focused on the spiritual world. It is a reminder that all esoteric experiences are gifts from God or the world depends on him, and the world depends on him. It also allows temptations to give tangible power to those who prioritize ambition over love. And now we are welcomed to the Imperial Knights. Those who have succeeded the test and have properly dealt with the law of diminishing returns are truly initiated in the Order of the Imperial Knights, where they spend their time praying to God and using magic only in the service of God. Every single member of the Knights knows that magic comes from God, not his own strength. And that is why they're able to use magic, because they treat it like a prayer, not a list of requirements. They treat magic as a way to worship God. Now, I did include this, there's a whole thing here for noble magic and demonic magic, and we can talk about that, what the difference between the two. But the key element is noble magic reveals truth. It bends but never breaks the laws, and as to walk on water, so it doesn't change anything. It doesn't create what is not supposed to be there. It reveals the truth. Like teleportation, you teleport from one area, then you materialize somewhere else. Mind reading, truth forcing, dispelling evil magic, using magical artifacts. These are allowed. Demonic magic, creation of illusions, mind control, directly altering the physical plane, directly altering with people's souls, i.e., necromancy, using magic for selfish reasons and dealing with spirits other than those sent from God. Conjuration. That is evil, precisely because demonic magic is fundamentally demonic. Well, it changes reality and attempts to override or hide the truth. That is why that is why demonic magic is demonic. So noble magic is hidden knowledge and wisdom. Demonic magic is an attempt to blanket over and replace an uncomfortable truth, or a comfortable one. And now some advice for magic users. The esoteric world is never a dilemma of, if I open this door, oh no, I can never go back. People leave from it and return to it plenty of times. There's always grace and mercy here. It is also not something that's inherently dangerous or hostile. Occasionally, learning magic can be a truly exhilarating and eye-opening experience about humanity and God. But remember this general rule of thumb. Just because the occult isn't always evil doesn't mean you have a license to mess around with a Ouija board, even if your intentions are perfectly noble. Whatever good intention you have will be corrupted if you fuck with magic the wrong way. Deals with the devil, they may seem wise at first. They're never wise. They're always a mistake. They're always a problem. They're always an attempt to override what is good, true, and beautiful in the name of what is ugly and just ugly. So, I'm not done with the prologue. I'm definitely not done with the live stream. I'm not done with the prologue. What do y'all guys think of it? Do any of y'all guys have questions here. Do any of you have any questions? Are you still watching, by the way? Um, just curious here. Yellow, can you hear me? All right, I shall be back. Hello, Goyim. I am here. I have returned to the live stream. Hello. So, Does anyone have any questions so far? Yakov, are you here? Like, who is the top fan here, by the way? Euro and Travel is there. All right. Yeah, because let me take a look at the people here, because it says there's only one person on the live stream. Oh, that's me. Oh, shit. Yakov, are you watching? Hello. Hello. I'm still watching. All right. Hello. Hello. Are any of y'all are any of you goyim in this current live stream chat? Oh, fuck it. All right, I'm continuing this shit anyways. But yeah. All right then. Now, going back to advice for Wolverse magic, I have already told that. Now there's heroic magic. Right? Well, all right then. Magic, heroic magic is made and used by religious monks praying in random corners of the world. It manipulates not minds, but possibility, making successful outcomes and miracles more possible. It can turn defeat into victory, but it cannot undo the scars of war or the effort needed to do to um, win. And it also cannot be used for evil, even unknowingly. So hypothetically, if I were to use it to make Japan win, they'd still have to fight. It would still be a very brutal war, but because the Japanese were evil as fuck in World War II, it would not. It would simply not work. Now, in regards to magical artifacts, mostly neutral, as most of them can't choose their wielder. They can do plenty of things, each one is unique, and they're often tied to certain nations. Most battles between secret societies are about finding, utilizing, or disabling these magical artifacts. Um, Hold on, let me. There. And most technological progress post 1940 is built for them. Now there's the Staff of Power, which is the most important magical artifact in the world. Yakov, are you here? The Staff of Power is the most important magical artifact in the world. It can only be accessed by a mythical chosen one, and the chosen one must be a convert to Thorax faith in an existential war for survival. It can summon literal draconic entities, transform deserts, and grant near unlimited power. It is literal bait for tyrants because, as you'll see later, there will be a tyrant who tries to access it and fails. Now, in regards to technological progress, again, post 1940s, uh, technology is defined by magical artifacts disguised as scientific progress. The internet and nuclear weapons don't exist, like in the world as we know it. Battle mech, space tech, and advanced green tech exist in the 21st and 22nd century. The overall aesthetic is basically imagine if solar punk was invented by Charles Coulomb, who is a known American monarchist. No one's here. All right then. Well, I would be starting Act 1, and to anyone who may be watching, this is Act 1, The Priest. Receive this as divine truth. The logic is that of prophecy, and the stakes are our very souls. This is what we shall look at in our next live stream. Until then, this is Julius Caesar. Getting stabbed by Brutus. And remember, the Lord is. Oh wait, Yakov, you are here. I had no clue you were. Yeah, like I didn't know you were still watching. By the way, if you would like the live stream to continue, feel free to say so. Oh, you were gone for a bit. All right, that's fair. I don't blame you. Would you like the live stream to continue? Because I am heading right now into Act 1 of Wolverse lore. The priest. Receive this as divine truth. The logic is that of prophecy. The stakes are our very souls. All right, nice. Okay, then. Now we have the creation saga. We have Gnostic influence, a monotheistic pharaoh, heretical Moses, the Virgin Mary, the Galactic Republic, and penitent Atlantis? Are you ready for the early spiritual history of the Wolverse? Because let me just say, release the Epstein files, but redact them. That is a commandment from Jesus in the Trump Bible. Wait, the live stream is... Oh, no, it's good. All right. Okay, thank God. All right, now, Gnosticism has indeed influenced the cosmology of the Wolverse. In real life, it's good when it brings people away from the material closer to God, but 99% of the time, it is never about that. It is always bad when it brings people away from God and towards, to worshiping this evil, feminine nature spirit. Oh, now it's good. It's cutting out a bit. All right. Okay. Turning off the air conditioner because I have on to a window air conditioner because my grandmother screams and puts the heat towards 90 trillion. So I have to, bring in some of the outside air. And obviously, it's not set to air conditioner, it's just set to a fan, but it's made to block out my grandmother's screams. All right, now, is everything good? Do you hear me properly? Yes, it is good. All right, now, the creation saga. Gnostic influence, monotheist pharaoh, heretical Moses, the Virgin Mary, Galactic Republic, penitent Atlantis. And in beginning talking about early spiritual history, I just wanted to say, I brought my Bible. I brought my Bible. They call it the Donald Trump Bible. It says, release the Epstein files, but redact a couple things that you don't want. Okay. We'll be redacting any mention of mysterious, I don't know who he is, Donald Trump in the files, okay? We'll be redacting his name. Now, Gnostic influences, all right. Gnosticism has indeed influenced the cosmology of this world. In real life, it is good when it brings people away from the material and closer to God. But it is bad when it brings people away from God and into worshiping a feminine nature spirit. Now for the creation of the world. In the Wolverse, the physical realm is the creation of God, but it was meant as a canvas for humanity. Everything in evolutionary prehistory is simply the art of humanity. So, yeah. Gel up your hair and get a blue business suit. Well, right now I'm currently wearing a blue shirt that says, a Haitian invader ate my cat. Yes. We gotta watch out for these Haitians. They're a real menace. We don't know what they'll do. They'll make gumbo the wrong way. We in New Orleans, they make gumbo the right way because it is the American way. In Haiti, they have gumbo the wrong way. They don't do it the right way. We don't know why. Maybe it's their style. Maybe it's their style. They make it with dirt. They make it with dirt. They make it with dogs. They make it with cats. I heard they have human meat. Anyways, yeah. So in the Wolverse, the physical realm is the creation of God, and but it was meant to be a canvas for humanity. Everything in evolutionary prehistory is simply the art of humanity, and so Zargoth used brute force to trap humanity in the physical realm. Now, humanity stuck on Earth did not yet have sin. We were trapped in the physical realm, but we did not take on the characteristics of its corrupted nature. And so, over the course of centuries, we created a glorious paradise. There's no government, no borders, no idolatry. Everyone was devoted to God in all matters. The pharaoh was a pious emperor of this stateless realm, but his authority was unnecessary. He was basically the first among equals, and because we're living in a system of angels, sure, there may be there may be a hierarchy or whatever, but it's so not important. Then some guy named Moshe Rabbeinu saw a burning bush and received a vision. All right, Lamal. Instead of spiritual transcendence, we must focus on the physical world. Okay, I trust you, Virgin Mary. Pharaoh, you're speaking to a demon. I can't believe I literally have to say this. Now, Moshe, still trusting the Virgin Mary, gathered a bunch of his supporters and began a declaration of war against the Pharaoh in Egypt. Every time you hear me mentioning the Virgin Mary and the Wolverse, it is not the Virgin Mary. It is Alderan, a demonic god, quote unquote, in denial. Regardless, this war basically destroyed Egypt's light and ensured Alderan and Zargoth were able to cause chaos, hampered humanity's unity with God. Now, there are three destinies of humanity. Those who followed Moshe and agreed with Alderan's mission took off into space and founded the Galactic Republic, following a distorted version of humanity. As most people were neutral in the Moshe versus Pharaoh conflict, they lost the benefits of ancient Egypt and dissolved into barbarians and gained sin. To be fair, Moshe ultimately repented, followed God, and gathered fellow penitents to conquer Israel from people who engaged in human sacrifice, leading to the creation of Judaism. Now, inquisitive viewers may ask, hey, what's with this weird thing in New Zealand? If you take a look at this part of the map here, why is New Zealand as big as it is? Why is that island huge all of a sudden? Where's the lore? Now, in real life, New Zealand used to be a gigantic continent called Zealandia, but it sunk. In the Wolverse, it didn't sink. It became the home of Atlantis and later a Wolcottian colony, and it is the ultimate continent in anything related to the esoteric. So the upper regions of this continent, they're basically, like the peninsulas and whatnot, they're the most habitable, tropical. People live, there are gigantic cities there and whatnot. But going into the core, there are tons and tons of mountains, and the south of Zealandia is really where magic is done. Noble magic, though. Only that. Only noble magic. Now, Atlantean spirituality. Those in Egypt who followed the pharaoh escaped to Zealandia and established a new civilization. This land was isolated, yes, but its people were still pure, mostly. They still tried to connect with God. They also had a massive space force and espionage unit protecting Earth from Galactic Republic intrusions. Part of this is invading the Nikorov outpost, aka early Ethiopiana. Now, if you take a look at this island right by Alaska, that is Ethiopiana. Um, long story of how. Wait a minute. Okay, where? Hang on. All right, yeah, okay. Jews and Christians developed greater relations with God, even though Atlantis was pure. Meanwhile, Atlantis fell into sin again and again. Atlantis was in a state of gnosis. They knew more than Jews and Christians and were thus more responsible. The final prophet of Atlantis taught them a lesson in humility. Do not live in sin, lest you wish to enter hell. And now, the final part, I think we can continue this a little bit. I could just do all of Act One, but I would like a greater audience, like a greater audience in terms of number, to be there. The climate and races, uh, we're finally exoteric for a little bit. Then we're going straight back to the esoteric. We're dealing with an altered climate. We're mentioning Nafsirians and Jotunese, the Nikorov outpost, pre-Wolcottia, and Vinland. So here is a map of the world in terms of the Wolverse. If you witness the continent, so Ethiopian over here, and wait a minute, I don't think I'm actually live streaming anything to you. I'm not sharing my screen at all. Or am I? Wait a minute. Yakov, am I sharing my screen? What the fuck? Because it says that I'm sharing my screen. Oh shit, man. All right, that's okay. Uh am I sharing my screen now? Yakov. Now it's just black. What? Okay, that's very weird. All right then. Let me try to do this. All right, let me try to do this now. Okay. Now, so all right, yeah. I hopefully like when did it start becoming black? Like what was I talking about? Thank God. All right. Yeah, like what was I exactly talking about when things started becoming black? Oh, okay. Oh, thank God. All right. So you were able to see uh early spiritual history. You were able to see I brought my Bible, and that's why I did the Trump impression because otherwise it just wouldn't have been, it wouldn't have made sense. Um, going back over this, uh, now climate and races, finally exoteric, altered climates, the Nafsirians and Jotunese, the Nikorov outpost, the pre-Wolcottian peoples, and Vinland. Now here's a map of the Wolverse of the world in this setting. Yeah, Charles Column. Yeah, I haven't watched him as of late, but I am somewhat of a fan of him. Here's a map of the world in the Wolverse here, from all the way to Yeah, because I just want to make sure, like, hopefully I didn't miss anything. Okay, yeah. All right, then. Map of the world here. This is a map of North America and the Wolverse, and just know that in this world, North America is lush and verdant. Oh, yeah, this is the mission statement here. We're going to be a bit more grounded here. This part will feel much more believable, even if it's unrealistic. Focus here not on divine stories, but on a textbook made by a history professor with no magical knowledge. There will be only one exception. This is the world that Sir John is arriving at, the early ancestors of Wolcottia are arriving at. Just know that in this world, North America is lush and verdant. What would normally be a grassland is a forest. What would normally be a forest is a rainforest. And what normally would be desert is a grassland. So, yes, biodiversity is a little bit less in North America. Natives in this world continue to be not that technologically advanced. That doesn't prevent them from forming tribes, but it does contextualize the eventual formation of Wolcottia. And the new empires, the newer empires, are more technologically advanced. Um, Now, with the Nafsirian peoples, these are a people of mysterious origin, linguistically similar to the Middle Eastern peoples such as the Arabs, Turks, Jews, and Persians. They have instruments like the oud. One dialect of the Nafsirian language sounds almost exactly like standard Fusha Arabic, but they don't call themselves Arabic. There is a strange connection to the Middle East in terms of the Nafsirians that no one can properly explain. The Jotni are descendants of Chinese refugees fleeing some dynastic war to North America, and they built their own mini China. No one knows how they got here. The Govarit are a powerful Native American tribe that eventually converted to Thorax faith and joined Wolcottia. They're very proud of their local identity, and they're the equivalent of Southerners in terms of patriotism with a bit of a defiance. And many argue that while they are fiercely loyal, that loyalty is because Wolcottia respects their culture. And another thing is that the Govarit, they chose to remain in Wolcottia even when offered independence. Now, welcome to this little island off the coast of Alaska that is the source of so many problems for the People's Kingdom of Wolcottia. Early Ethiopian history is filled with a mysterious people called the Taplov A group by most scientists. Very little is known about them except the fact that they have lots of statues of a man carrying a staff. The civilization was isolated and had almost no rivals, but was conquered by Polynesian seafarers in the 900s. They leave no impact today. Wait a minute. Oh, yeah, because I'll actually mention them later on. The reality behind them later on. That is going to be a bit more entertaining. In the years before Wolcottia was established, the Vikings planned on settling colonies in what they called Vinland, or North America. This colony was established, just like in our world, by Leif Erikson after Eric the Red. This is not the end, but only a precursor to the greater story of Sir John's pilgrimage. Do Ethiopian speak Uzbek? Ethro, epic Catholic, he knows more than me. Ethro, epic Catholic, he knows more than me. Now he's actually a lot. Well, he no longer calls himself a he, but he is a lot nicer now, as a person. So hopefully things are going well with him. Now, Sir John's saga, Sir John the Prophet, Thorax Faith, Catholic Seething, Chess Match, Norse Vikings, Sir Sven, Yernas, and Uzalav. What are they? We begin our story in medieval England. This was not the golden land of Camelot that we hear of from those who romanticize the medieval period. Yet this was also not the dark, poor, and tyrannical land we hear of from those who unfairly demonize the past with false narratives. This was a land of kings, knights, and ethnic conflict between Normans and Saxons, but most importantly, a land of faith. The Catholic Church did not oppress the peasants in service of the monarch. The king was held accountable because he knew the consequences that excommunication would deliver. As for the commands of the Pope, all Christians are to be taken care of, and no man of Christ could ever be stripped of his dignity. The same could not be said for Jews, Muslims, or anyone who doubts. Now, let's be clear. Let's be crystal clear. To the church, there is no difference between doubting God, doubting Christ, and doubting the church itself. This is no different from pagans, except for one clear detail. While pagans admit they are idolaters who reject God, the Catholic Church co-opts his name to serve their ego, live in wealth, engage in degenerate acts, and bludgeon anyone who points out this hypocrisy. Now, this is IRL history, by the way. This is real life history. The Catholic Church had a feast with honest prostitutes. In said feast, people engaged in wild proclivities. Check it out on Wikipedia if you want to know more about it. It is the Banquet of Chestnuts. It's really disgusting. Like total act of hypocrisy. And this is why I can't take Catholicism seriously or endorse it. According to these Catholics, people who did stuff in that feast were, rewarded. The vessel of Christ, according to Catholicism there. Why? If this religious leader is really chosen by the Holy Spirit, then why is there a papal election? Why would that church be integrated? Sedevacantists are people who It's like being in a relationship with an abusive girlfriend and saying, I can fix her. No, you can't. Now, who is Sir John? Yeah, it is true. Like, I don't even mean this sarcastically, by the way. I mean genuinely, it is true. And it's why I can't endorse the Catholic Church in real life. Hopefully, you'll see everything. All right, good. You can see everything. All right. Gonna get myself out of the dryer. You'll be listening, but you cannot type. That is all right for me. Kind of wish there were more people. Let me put it on Bayath Shalawam. Now, who is Sir John? Noble English knight, fought in the Crusades, pure of heart. Not a purely religious Catholic, for while he did and still does everything in the name of God, he cares little for the trappings of going to church. The Catholic Church is going to start having problems with him because he doubts them while maintaining faith in God. Sir John's crisis of faith. This all began when he told a priest one simple confession. He doubts not God, but not the church. Well, he doubts not God, but the church. And he told the priest that, and during his confession, and the priest said, actually, Catholicism is true and based in red pilled, so you shouldn't be asking questions. But okay, I'll give you that time to meditate as long as you read the Bible and say 666 Hail Marys, because you're acting kind of like satanic right now, for real. Sir John, you just doubt us because you don't like being good, I guess. Remember to be generous. Sir John set himself up in a monastery for several years. He prayed, fasted, and fasted. He neglected even the most basic of sustenance. Throughout this time, his faith in God remained pure, but his contempt towards lavish priests and kings that protect nothing other than a standard worldview reached its breaking point. And that is when Thorak showed up. It was there in a vision from Thorak explaining the nature of esoteric lore. He found out that the Catholic Church is an extension of Alderin's will and must be transcended to reach enlightenment. The greatest strength for him is simple. All questions he asked were properly responded. So, and were given a valid answer. So Sir John began to spread his knowledge around England and writing it down in what he called the Book of Histories. Those who followed him weren't disaffected peasants suffering feudal oppression, but those who rejected the peasant mentality of conforming to false spirituality. Back, Yaakov, you are back. Nice. The papal complaint. No, you can't do that. You're betraying Christ. You're becoming a Jew. Pogrom, pogrom, pogrom. Now you're being infected by demons. You worship Thorak. You worship him. No, not wholesome. The Jewish reaction. Pogrom? Not again. Oy vey. Yeah, hopefully you found a little bit of humor there. Yakov, you can still hear me, right? Well, yeah, and anyways, hopefully you enjoyed that. The Catholic Church was prepared to launch an inquisition in England to destroy Thracians. It would be easier than real life inquisitions, considering that Thracians were out in the open and didn't pretend to be Christians. The problem is that Christians were being persecuted in Muslim lands, and Sir John had promised not to persecute Catholics in their land. Such an inquisition cannot be justified. You're becoming a Jew! I kept Catholic! I kept Catholic! You're becoming a Jew! Stop, Sir John! You must. I kept Catholic! Now, all right. The ultimate deal Sir John promised the Pope and King of England to a simple chess match. If he wins, he's heard honorably. If he loses, he'd voluntarily convert to Catholicism. The Pope demanded six chess matches, three against the King of England and three against the Pope. Sir John publicly agreed, and even promised to publicly recant his faith if he lost even a single one of them. The first three of his games were against the king. Sir John won the first, Sir John won the second, Sir John won the third. Yes, Sir John won all three of them, and the King of England recognized Sir John as a loyal knight and honored his victories as the Pope ceded. Meanwhile, the Catholic in the fourth game, you have the Catholic reaction here. You have the Raging Soyjak. Ha 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 ha. I didn't promise you to a fair competition. Ha 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 ha. I beat you intellectually and maintained my honor. Now you'll have to become Catholic or else you are going against your word. Violent revolution is not okay, is it? Now you'll be a good boy, Sir John. But I am Pope Innocent II. Your Holiness, it is not an honorable thing to go against the fair rules of this competition by changing it from chess to a game of your choosing, a game neither Sir John nor I know, nor anyone else knows for that matter. You are not engaging in a competition about chess. Your game is forfeit, or you can continue competing. The king honored his loyal knight. Sir John won all 6 games, obviously, and he had a simple demand for the King of England. He asked not for power, not even for protection, but only one thing that would eternally keep him and his followers safe. I need only a fleet of ships to leave with my followers. Sir John developed a fleet of ships to sail across the Atlantic Ocean throughout North America. The journey was tough, but he eventually reached the land of Vinland. There he met Norse tribes, the continent's first natives, and settled to found the first Thracian communities. And yes, this is the map of North America. If you witness a small change here, um, witness the conquest of Nova Scotia, little islands there, the blue, these are lands owned by the Catholics. Now, the Vikings, Vinland had pagan Vikings, Christian Vikings, and Thracian settlers. And if you notice, right over here, I can't even see it. Shit. There's like a tiny green dot. So notice that Thracians only got a little bit of the land. Still, Sir John married a local woman and had a son named Sven. And aside from occasionally sparring, Vinland became a model of prosperity, a medieval New England. When when neighboring barbarians attacked, Vinlanders responded in three ways. Pagan Vinlanders joined the barbarians and assimilated into them, becoming no different from their conquerors, because, of course, pagans. Christians suggested going back to Catholic Europe and departing from the dream of a frontier. But Sir Sven, the son of Sir John, because remember, Sir John married a local woman, had a son, Sven, and for a while, Vinland was prosperous. The men of Odin and icons absorb themselves into this land or flee from it like cowards. Must we be like these heathen? Nay, we shan't. We are men, followers of God and pioneers throughout this wild, untamed wilderness. If the savages take the riverbanks, then we must take the river. He began a journey called Yernas. It was a long and tiresome journey crossing the Atlantic coastline, Mississippi River, and Missouri River to reach a magical lake near the end. This journey is called Yernas, the Thracian equivalent to the High Holy Days. It is a time of fasting that ends with a large feast. In the end of the journey, a small town was established called Yes, Missouri mentioned. In the end of the journey, a small town was established called Udzalav. This was an ancient work of poetry for all Thracians, and even today it remains a site of religious pilgrimage for many religious people. Vast tomes of mystical knowledge is held here, but it's not forever used. Now, we interrupt this program to recite two works of poetry related to the Wolverse. Þar venun kursa í undoshet jadas vest. Ser Johan kommen þar við himmans og knisti i das losch och sorrenska User setlen thar jadas jozio konjeter once and then once blush. Thon das blush is there's now left Jarskisar Johannes Jorst knost. User remen vrensk dash rel kosi folwensk das jales. Kareno erven kagloteros Johan Jofeta katen sidin once dishli Sorrinska ossar kraj Arrenorinda Sharseluk Yarale Sinle Usegenev Dasher Kojisivus Vastre. So basically, this is what Wolcottia is now. Like, there's a bit of a transition. It's no longer Yadas Yodzioko Ancient. I made it more monotheist and, of course, made the poem properly Thracian. Now, all right, I will. Should I continue the live stream, or do you feel it is over? Because that is a pretty good finale. Because the thing is, I'm almost done with Act 1. I'm literally towards the end of Act 1. 10 out of 10. Thank you so much. Honestly, end it here. All right, then. Now, remember, this is Julius Caesar getting stabbed by Brutus. Ugh.